Well, it looks like Nintendo has heard the demand for the Switch at this point. There's a lot of people who want the Switch who can't get it right now because it's not available in their areas. And Nintendo, either their launch has gone very well, or at least better than they thought it would, or they have some stuff up their sleeves that, realizing the demand now, will know that the demand will be even higher down the road. So in an article written by our good friend Takahashi Machizuki, who told us a couple things, some of it ended up being wrong, like the 1440p screen, but this is more up their wheelhouse, I think. It has less to do with technology and more to do with the actual business of Nintendo, has reported that Nintendo is upping their initial production run of the next fiscal year. This would be between April and the following March of 2018. They're upping it from 8 million to 16 million units, and this would, of course, double production. And this should not count the 2 million, or the supposed 2 million that are already out there, or at least just about done production in stores now. Of course, they have been talking about doing 2 million through March. A lot of analysts and everything have come out and said that 1.5 million had probably sold through in its first 10 days or so, 8 days. So yes, this makes sense that they would want to up production, but that would also put, with the 2 million and the 8 to 16 million, that would put them in the neighborhood of 18 million units existing by next March. That seems like a lot of units. I mean, that's a lot of systems to be pushing through. I mean, that would put it a little under what the Wii did in its first year. I mean, the Wii did, I think, 21 million, somewhere in there, but this would put the Switch much higher. And keep in mind, this means that the Switch would outsell the Wii U handily in its first year. With the 4 years that the Wii U took to sell 13 million, the Switch is looking to do that in its first overall year, which is insane. That would be a huge win for Nintendo if they can hit 13 million in the Switch's first year on the market. I mean, that would be massive. That would be pretty much Nintendo reviving onto the gaming scene at that point. And that would pretty much put any doubts out of a lot of third-party developers' minds at that point that this system might be like the Wii U. I'm sure a lot of them are kind of waiting and just seeing if there's a market there for them to put their games out, which, by the way, if a big third party, the first big third party that comes over, whether it's Activision or Ubisoft, I'm talking about with like a big game, like a Call of Duty, or EA puts a Battlefield or something like that. If you have been asking for third parties to bring this stuff over, you need to buy the game. I mean, the worst thing that could happen is they actually take a chance, they put a big AAA game on there, and no one buys it. So if you are a Nintendo fan exclusively, if you just buy Nintendo's consoles, if one of these big games come over, you really need to do yourself and Nintendo a service at that point, especially if you've been begging for these things, to actually buy the game and try it out, give it a chance. Now, you don't have to, obviously, but if you're not going to buy the AAA game, don't ask for AAA games at that point. But if Nintendo brings all these systems out and we're somewhere in the neighborhood of 18 million units in existence by next April, that is massive. There would be no real supply shortage at that point, and it would probably be selling through. But usually you come to these determinations if there's something coming up that you know is going to push systems. And at this point, I am almost positive that those rumors of Pokemon Stars are pretty much locked in. I think it's happening, and I think we're going to see it at E3, and there's some other reasons too. So other than the big, obvious reasons, obvious that Pokemon Sun and Moon pushed a ton of 3DS sales, pushed a ton of units sold. I mean, we saw the ridiculous sales for Pokemon Sun and Moon, and 3DSs were so hard to find, but they were actually in normal production. They were just selling really well. So 3DSs, 2DSs, they were hard to find. Now I can go out and find them with relative ease now that the Pokemon Sun and Moon craze has kind of passed. My Walmart has several of them now, so that's not a big deal. They don't have any of those $100 ones that came out for a limited time. I assume those are just done now. I think that was just like a Black Friday type special or something, but overall, that game pushed so well, and I think Nintendo sees this, and they know that Pokemon Stars, paired with any other new announcements they have. Now, don't get me wrong, Metroid, Xenoblade, those are not big system sellers. Metroid is not very popular in Japan. I'm sure Xenoblade isn't super popular in the United States, but I do think if they have enough of these second-tier games like Metroid, like Xenoblade, paired with the big games like Pokemon, like Mario, like Zelda, Mario Kart, these games are going to push it to the masses, and then you have a lot of second-tier games that will then push it to the hardcore fans, and that's all you need, games. If you have games, your system will sell. And the other big thing that kind of interests me about the whole Pokemon thing is the new president, obviously, of Nintendo, Kinishima, was the president of the Pokemon Company. This was back in 2001. He was appointed the president of Pokemon USA Inc., and I think at this point, he knows Pokemon will push it, so he probably has some pull with Game Freak and wants them to bring their Pokemon game, the Pokemon game, they all kind of collaborate and work on together, over to the Switch to push those units, because as soon as Pokemon shows up, as soon as that announcement hits at E3, that system is going to be super popular. People are going to be looking at it because Pokemon is on there. That is how much of an effect Pokemon has. I have people ask me all the time, what would make the Switch sell? Pokemon would make the Switch sell. And then people who don't know much about Pokemon or any of that seem to look at me kind of like hesitantly, like, are you sure Pokemon would sell that system? Yeah, they would. I've been on podcasts where people asked me if Pokemon would sell the system. Yeah, it would. It's that big of a deal if Pokemon shows up. And there's a lot of reasons for that. The big one, obviously, is that it is a system that hooks up to your TV. It's portable, but it hooks up to your TV. And this would be the first time Nintendo, Game Freak, the Pokemon Company, have ever moved a Pokemon game to a home console that is part of the main line. So I would think it would be like that third offshoot game, like an Emerald or a Platinum. It's rumored to be called Pokemon Stars, and that's fine. That actually makes sense with Sun, Moon, and Stars. But I think if they move this over, it will be big. It will be massive. They would pull in that Pokemon crowd, and if they do it right, they make it so that the Pokemon Stars game is compatible with trading with the 3DS games, and overall, Pokemon would sell the system. So yes, I do believe a lot of games are showing up. I think we need to keep a serious eye on E3. That much floor space, coupled with this much ramped up production where they are doubling their expectations going forward. I think the Switch is going to have a good E3. I think Nintendo is really going to bring the games for E3, and it's going to, I think, change a lot of people's ideas in the gaming world as to how the Switch will do going forward. I think the system will sell well. I don't know if they'll reach that 18 million mark that they think they will, but I do think it's going to easily outpace the Wii U. I think in a year's time, the Switch will outsell the Wii U's lifetime sales, which really shows how bad the Wii U sold, but it also shows how much better of a job Nintendo has done with the Switch's marketing. But we're looking at this next fiscal year, between April and March of next year, to have 16 million units produced, coupled with the 2 million, we'll put it at 18 million units in existence, unless they ramp up production again, which they say is possible. That's it for now, guys. Let me know what you think about the ramped up production. What games do you think will show up at E3 or sooner to help push this unit along, because holidays should be packed with a lot of games, including Mario Odyssey. So I'm curious. Let me know what you guys think down below. I will see you next time.